Hey everyone, welcome to PC Perspective. Today we're going to take a look at the brand new Corsair Obsidian Series 750D case. Now the 750D is kind of a progression of design for the Obsidian series from Corsair, and it shares a lot of both physical traits, appearances, and features as the 900D and the 350D, while sitting between them both in terms of size and pricing. For users that have already seen the 900D and the 350D, the front of this should look pretty familiar. You've got this brushed aluminum finish. I actually really do like the finish quite a bit. It's got a center-mounted power button. You've got your power and activity LEDs here. Up top you have your audio inputs. You have a reset button. It's a little bit difficult to press, but that's how a reset button should be. You've got two USB 3.0 ports, two USB 2.0 ports. Then you have three 5¼ inch optical drive bays in here. On the front, if you depress it here, you've got a removable panel that reveals a intake air filter, which is really nice. If you take that filter out, you can see that Corsair has included two of the AF140L derivatives of their AF140 retail fans here as well. And it kind of just snaps back in like that, and it's a pretty easy process to access there. Now up top is another removable fan filter, and what's interesting about this is it's magnetic, and it just, well, it's not really supposed to go there, but it's actually on the outside. You don't have to do anything specific to access it. It just kind of sits and rests right there on top, and that's for intake or exhaust, right? And I think as the fans mounted that we have today are actually an intake. Up top you can support three 120 millimeter fans or two 140 millimeter fans, and then accordingly, you know, up to a 360 millimeter radiator, a 240, a 280, you know, any kind of combination that way. If we rotate this around, you'll see that the door panel here, as I try to adjust the glare just a little, is another feature of the newer Obsidian series cases, that the window is pretty much almost as big as they could make it and still be structurally sound. I actually am a big fan of that design choice. If you're going to put a window on there, you're probably going to want to show off your hardware, and you're probably going to want to show it off, all of it, I guess. On the back, nothing too dramatic here. You've obviously got another 140 millimeter exhaust fan. This is one that's included in the case. 9 expansion ports. You've got cutouts here, punch outs here if you want to run external water cooling. You can do that. Bottom mounted power supply. Thumb screw doors. That's one of the things that we're not super fans of here, is the screws aren't great. I have a very minor complaint that when you use the screws, the paint kind of wears off of them rather quickly, but they're okay. Doors aren't super rigid. They don't match up with the frame as easily as some of the other doors do that have like the push button release and things like that. So that's kind of the exterior. The back is just plain, no window, no exhaust vents. If we go ahead and take off the side panels, we can start to show you some of the feature set of the new 750D. Now we have installed a system in here, obviously. This is I think it's a Haswell configuration. We've got a Corsair 100i water cooler installed, a 240 millimeter radiator. You can see you've got plenty of room up top here if you want to do a push-pull configuration. No issues with that. The power supply, bottom mounted, lots of the grommeted cable routing holes, and a couple of them that are non-grommeted. The space for your graphics card, more than enough. We'll take this a little bit more. You can see that this is the 7990 included in here, which is probably the longest card of this generation, longest graphics card of this generation. And we've got space between this and our hard drive bays as well. If you need more space, you can actually move those around. So let's talk about the storage capability in this. You've got your 3 screwless optical bays. You have 6 3.5 inch hard drive bays that use the kind of standard now Corsair trays. They're screwless for 3.5 inch drives. You just kind of flex it and put those in there like this one is. They also will fit 2.5 inch hard drives. Now it comes with 2 of these modules. They're originally mounted both on the bottom, and we moved one up here to showcase one of the other features of this case, which is that the actual mounting mechanism for those hard drive cages is removable as well. And on the bottom, you can see there's a place for another fan here, and if you remove this one, you can replace that as well. So you can actually have a bottom-mounted set of fans or radiator up to 240 there as well. Now obviously that would mean you'd have to remove both of your hard drive cages. So what do? Oh, well, the secret is that there's SSD cages on the back that we'll show you here in just a second. Otherwise, on the front, that's pretty much, you're getting your typical Corsair layout. Lots of room to build in, lots of room for cable routing, lots of zip tie locations. If you build a system in this case, even if you don't spend a lot of time on it, like we tend to not do, it will look nice. I mean, this is a case that we built very, very quickly for purposes of doing our review and our video. And I think, at least from that angle, looks pretty good. So let's take off the other panel and see what we have on the opposite side. So here you can see the other side of all those cable routing grommets. It's pretty clean here, no big issues. They've got the opening here for your auxiliary ATX connector, which is nice. You have room for all of your fan controllers and connections to go. And the interesting thing on the back here is really the SSD cages. So even if you remove all of the hard drive cages from the front, you still have access to use 4 2.5-inch drives, hard drives or SSDs really for that matter, that mount here on the back. And the cages for this are actually kind of interesting. They are completely screwless as well. You can see they just kind of push into place. And then if you have right angle SSD and or SATA and SSD power connectors, they install very, very nicely and they come through at the angle. Now mounting these back is a little bit more of a pain than I would like. It's just a little bit more difficult to really find the edges that you need to put the feet into, and then it just kind of locks in place. But once you're in there, you've got room for 4 of those, and it doesn't take any space up inside the case, which I definitely like. One of the changes I do like with this is that the fan filter underneath the power supply actually has a little bit of a guide for you to put, reinsert it without having to like struggle with making sure it meets into the guides for it. That's actually a little bit new and updated on this model of the case. I still wish we could access this from the side of the case rather than the back, but this is definitely an improvement. For pricing, Corsair tells us that the MSRP of the 750D is going to be $159. That's probably $10 to $20 more than I would like to see based on comparative products in the market from NZXT and others. But in terms of the feature set you get, the styling, that's always a personal preference. The Obsidian 750D does have quite a bit to offer, especially if you're already a fan of the Corsair feature set. There's a lot to like in the case. We had a couple of nitpicks that we just talked about, but we'll be having a full review posted of the Corsair 750D sometime soon from Lee, so be sure to check PCPro.com for that. I'm Ryan Schrout. Thanks for watching.